what I always remind people of is that you're never going to have every single step laid out, are you? A lot of the
I
time,
wish.
these steps reveal themselves. We only need to really know this first one or two, and then they kind of will reveal themselves as we move through our process of creating change. In terms of, I think a lot of the time we care too much about what others think, and that's something I see come up time and time and time again in my clients, and that's where the perfectionism is coming in. A socially prescribed perfectionist really is very self-critical, cares a lot about what other people are thinking about them, worries about rejection, worries about other people's perceived standards, and that's where we see the highest cases of depression and anxieties with that type of perfectionist. And so, yes, they are going to be very nervous about creating change and failing at it. But we have to adjust our expectations. And as perfectionists, we have very high expectations. You're not going to get it right first time. It isn't going to be perfect, but at least you're doing something. You're making progress. You're stepping forwards. And, as I will explain time and time again, those mistakes and those failures are part of the process. And that's where we're going to really learn. And I've had some brilliant ones in my time. But God, those rock bottoms teach us so much more than mountaintops ever will, and I think we need to really change the way we view failure to help us move forward.
I really like that approach, because what does it say? It's, if you are looking on, you can't have the troughs without the highs. It's like on a heart rate monitor. Once, if it's flatlined, you're never going to get everything perfect. So you're always going to have up and downs. And then if not, you're not going to be there anymore anyway. So it doesn't matter. And I really like that idea. I always think, like, when I'm in a low, this will pass. It's like, I think Tom Hanks said it. He said he wished he'd been told, this too shall pass. Whenever you're in a low, you think,
Brilliant.
this too shall pass. But in a high, everything's going perfect. You think, okay, I need to prepare for something going wrong. And then when you're between the two, he's thinking, then when he looks at his kids when they're younger, this too shall pass. So I need to enjoy it while I can. The same for everything. I just love that kind of mindset.
I love that. I love the fact that you've mentioned that quote because it's one of my favourite, and I think it's from Eckhart Tolle, This Too Shall Pass. And honestly, Ian, it's the thing I hold closest to my heart when I've been in some of the darkest times, because one of my truths of life is that nothing stays the same. Everything's always changing and evolving and becoming something other than it's not. So even when we are in the depths of despair, things keep moving, and just think to yourself, this too shall pass. It's brilliant that you brought that up because, something that's very close to me.
It's really hard, isn't it, though, when you're really bad and you're like, I think back, and one of my regrets is I wasted those days. I wasted that relationship. I wasted that block of time. So you start beating yourself up. And then do you think that creates like almost like a chase for perfectionism afterwards? Or we get linked to, like, once we start feeling better or we start making this change, that we want to have the fancy car, we want to have the better house compared to this, we want our kids to be better. Does it create this kind of a desire for the best we can because we realize how much time we've wasted? So we think we need to go away and win at life, and then we tie ourselves into processions and stuff, and then we lose our own value. Is it that kind of roller coaster, or am I reading too much into it?
Well, that's an interesting, in terms of beating yourself up, but is it a waste of time? I would be challenging that. Did you really waste your time? Are you telling me that you got nothing from that? You took no value from it. You didn't learn everything from it. It
If
didn't
you
help
met my
you grow and
ex,
develop as a character. Oh, God. And I think in
no,
terms of using that past healthily to motivate you for change, and I get that, but I think when we get stuck in that kind of rumination and that beating ourselves up, that self-deprecation, that's when it becomes unhealthy because it's not generating anything positive. So I think it's about using those past mistakes, failures, places where we felt short, looking at what they gave us, what value we've got, what we can learn from them, and then trying to use that to propel us forward. And in terms of just responding to those things, well, I'll get a better car, I'll get a better this, I'll get a better that is dangerous because that's tying your self-worth and your feelings of happiness to external things.